These super socks are rather good. Right, there are a few things that I do as daily practice these days that act as a somewhat liberating experience, and I have to say the whole idea of barefoot technology is one of those. Now I'll add that a few years ago when I was doing a fair bit more running, some endurance stuff, I did delve into the barefoot technology, got myself some Vivo trainers, and stupidly, like a lot of people, just immediately started running in those, and of course I caused myself a bit of an injury. I then didn't use them for a while and instead bought some transition trainers, and they were fine, and actually I still use those. I like those. They just had a very low heel to toe drop, and it did feel like I was running with better form. But that's all I've done since then, and I don't do a lot of running now. But these super socks, of course. Ooh, a tester. Won't make any difference.
Why is there a man in it?
Day 2. He's off! Are rather good. So it's interesting. This is what I'm experiencing so far. Every time I step on something either sharp or stone-like, it's almost as if my foot immediately senses it and I don't put all of my weight down. Now, whether that's going to continue happening, I don't know. It feels like I've just got a better sense of where I'm placing my feet and where I'm balancing my weight. One of the things that I did think about, I mean, now that we're in the autumn, getting close to winter, obviously the wet ground is rather cold. Now, whilst the rest of my body is used to that, a la shorts and t-shirt, as you know, I can keep my vital organs warm. But if you also follow my journey, you'll know that I have in the past had a few problems keeping my extremities warm. So how I stave off some of the frostbite that does happen in my fingers every now and again, I now do either the Zen swing or just swing my arms just to get the blood flow to my hands. Of course, you can't really do that so much with your feet, but let's see how I fare. At the moment it's fine, I'm just walking on some wet mud now. So a good test will be in the second when I walk through some muddy puddles and onto the grass. So supposedly these super socks, and I think there are probably a couple of brands now that do the same product, supposedly these are so tough that you could get a knife blade and that won't penetrate the material. I believe that the material they use in this instance is something called Dyneema. So let's see how I fare. So are these socks keeping my feet warm? Yes, they are, but I think that's also partly because my feet are going numb. I mean, the great thing is, of course, with feet is that unlike my hands, they're working away, bless them, and all of my weight is bearing down on them. So theoretically, I'd like to think that the blood flow is still pumping down through my legs, although obviously in the cold, as you know, when you're wearing shorts and t-shirt, the fool that I am, then of course the blood does move more to the vital organs in order to keep you alive. But I do think that theoretically there should be enough blood flow through my toes to prevent any significant cold injuries. But what is lovely is this freedom that you get actually in your feet and just in walking itself by wearing these socks. One other thing to point out here, this is not a promotional tool. I'm not getting paid to do this promotion. I'm not going to drop a link to the socks. This is more, I think, for anybody else there genuinely interested in buying these kind of products. If you don't follow my journey, if you don't follow my YouTube channel, if I promote anything, it's always done from the perspective of a genuine reason of wanting to spread the message. In other words, this works for me, so doubtless it will work for you. So what does it feel like? On the one hand, it feels so right. You know, it does give you this feeling of, you know, as if this is what us humans are meant to be doing. And of course it is really. Only since the advent of rubber and things like that did we start ruining our feet and our posture. But it equally feels wrong at the same time. And I suppose it feels wrong because after almost 46 years of wearing shoes and trainers, your body is just not used to this. So it's a really odd feeling. You know, I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. I actually think it is lovely in the sense that it is liberating. I'm definitely going to keep trying this, seeing how my feet fare. Actually, one of the things I will do when I get home is properly warm my feet up, just to be safe. You know, if you have followed my journey before, that my fingers did succumb about 1.5 years ago to frostbite. Only early stage frostbite, frost nip. But it does mean, you know, you do need to be pretty careful as the temperatures drop. But like I say, it does feel good. I think in the summer months it would feel even better because you're not then concerned about that extra cold on your extremities. But there's something about walking, especially on rough ground, you know, it brings out the Neanderthal in you. Let me just show you a little trick that I learned from a friend. Lovely chap in the village here, Adam Luther, who spent a few months in China studying some kung fu practices. And he was taught by his master at the time a clever little trick for getting down slippery slopes. And it's a clever little twisting motion with your feet. I'll show you in a second. But I think when you've got barefoot trainers or shoes with no grip and you're walking down a slippery slope, it's a very clever little trick. It takes a little bit of time to practice. I'm not saying that I've mastered this technique yet, but I do adopt it, especially on this particular slope. So let me show you now. Try not to laugh too much. The salsa swing step, let's call it that, in your super socks. Definitely worth trying that twisting method. As I say, it takes a while. Hopefully I gave you an apt viewing. You want to kind of get your whole body in it, into the whole twisting motion. So yeah, much nicer to be in the woods with the warming feeling of the earth in comparison to the wet concrete and gravel outside, which I have to say, I think as far as the winter is concerned, as we drop to those 0 temperatures, I think it probably would be a bit silly wearing these. But what I do like about them, when I had a little run up the hill, excuse me, what I did like is that, I guess all these obvious statements, that you just feel much more efficient, you feel like you're running in a style that you're meant to. It feels like your Achilles heel is being stretched further, obviously. But what's lovely about this is that you're not going to get any closer, are you, to being barefoot, whilst retaining some kind of covering over your tootsies. So, yeah, I mean, this is the closest you will get beyond obviously wearing, morning, beyond wearing any kind of shoe, there's nothing else that will get you this close to the earth. Now, as far as grounding is concerned, of course, I suspect these Dyneema fibers probably don't help, these man-made fibers. So I guess from a grounding perspective, you're not necessarily going to get the benefits, but as far as everything else, in your barefoot foray into that way of being, that way of walking and running, these are very, very good. Now, in terms of care instructions, they don't come with any. So they literally just come in a clear plastic bag. So what I did yesterday was, as soon as I got home, just hand wash them in the sink and then dry them on the radiator. That seems to be fine. Whether that's the right thing or not, I'm not too sure. I suspect it is. But like I say, I'm wearing them again today, and I've only got one pair. So it'd be good to see how long these last. Right, so where do we go with these beauties then? I think I know enough about them already that I like them. I wouldn't wear them every day in the winter simply because I'd probably end up with frostbite. And you can't really wear one pair over the other. I mean, they're already quite tricky to get your toes in. I suppose because of the Dyneema fabric, they're not as manipulative, let's say, as a woolen sock. Yeah, you're not going to be able to double up on these, I don't think. And I suppose even if you did, they'd probably move around and it wouldn't be very comfortable. So yeah, these are great things, brilliant for the summer, probably brilliant for, say, 3/4 of the year. But I think in the winter, at the temperatures that we're already facing now, you're probably not going to want to wear them too much. I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind on that, because maybe my feet will adapt, maybe they'll transition. Evolution of Dave signing out, bye for now.